screen, we have a trends. So I'm going to change this trend to just view local trends at the moment for Mumbai. Trends in India at the moment. On the left. So the Olympics opening ceremony, which happened last night, obviously trending right at the top. And you got some branding trends, you've got the movies, individuals, any subjects that are currently being spoken about. So I'm going to take you through what a hashtag is, how a hashtag is created, how trends are created, how trends are monitored. And the interesting part that you will notice for all your brands here, that this exercise costs no money. So this is the biggest win-win scenario. I noticed how everyone's ears picked up when I said this exercise costs no money. So let's jump into this exercise, and once you have a slight better understanding of the concept, we'll come back to the live Twitter page, and over lunch, let's get Thai Institute to trend. You'll understand how we'll do that now. So I'm going to run you through a quick presentation on the do's and don'ts for Twitter. I'm sure everyone is already familiar with what Twitter is, but we'll reiterate that once again. It's an online social networking service. It's a microblog, character limit of 140 characters. You have to say what you have to say in a tweet that can exist only up to a character limit of 140 characters. The character limit will include a hashtag that you put in, the character limit will include a tag for someone's personal profile that you put in, but it's important to note that any tweet above 140 characters will not tweet. Twitter has now become one of the 10 most popular websites visited in the world. It's become the SMS language of the internet, so as to speak. On Twitter, you can choose to follow another user, you can be followed by various users, and users are usually judged on the basis of their popularity through the number of followers that they have. People with a high number of followers are known as social influencers. So what is a hashtag? As Lavan explained to you, and as we went over Thai Institute as well, a hashtag essentially is a word or a phrase that is preceded by the hash sign. Now this is done for convenience to recognize that word or phrase that has been commonly spoken about. So for instance, if the Olympics had the opening ceremony last night, the whole world was talking about that. Everyone was talking about how the Queen para-jumped off the helicopter with James Bond and what a great spectacle that was. So in order to track what other people are talking about the same subject, which is the opening ceremony of the Olympics, hashtag opening ceremony then became a trending topic. So the hashtag opening ceremony, the opening ceremony became the phrase which was preceded by the hash sign. So if a user was talking about that specific subject, it became very easy for him to thereby track what other users in the entire world were saying about the entire subject. So whether it's a word or whether it's a phrase that's preceded by a hashtag, not necessarily preceded by a hashtag, but colloquially preceded by a hashtag, is known as a hashtag. And such hashtags will further group users that are talking about similar content into one group, as we saw when we did a search for Thai Institute. So we'll do that physical exercise over lunch, where we'll create a hashtag of Thai Institute, which we've already created, and we'll get that to trend. Any questions before we move forward? You can create a hashtag, I can create a hashtag, anyone in the world can create a hashtag. A hashtag is any phrase that you pick up or any word that you pick up for the purpose of tracking a conversation between like-minded users that are talking about the same thing. Now in my next slide, I'll tell you what to do when you're creating a hashtag. Anyone can create a hashtag. Absolutely anyone can create a hashtag. Now the purpose, as I told you, of creating a hashtag is to track communities and common subjects of conversation. So you can create a hashtag, whether it's Thai Institute, this hashtag doesn't exist. We created it this morning. You can use a hashtag to join a cause. The cause can be support cancer, it can be support breast cancer, whatever. If there's a specific day that's today or that's tomorrow, you can use it to join a cause. World AIDS Day, for instance, that the entire world is talking about. You can use a hashtag to encourage topics for participation, like the opening ceremony of the Olympics, for instance. It just became a conversational touch point because the whole world was tuned into ESPN at the same hour, watching the exact same ceremony. So it became a conversational touch point, and it became very easy for me as a viewer and a consumer of that content which may have been television content, to track that content and to track that conversation on Twitter, thereby allowing me to participate in a larger community of conversation that involved the entire globe.
It has to be unique, right?
Sorry?
That has to be unique.
No.
That has to be
unique to the extent where hypothetically, if you were the first person in the world to have created the hashtag opening ceremony, for instance, everyone else would latch on to that hashtag. So it doesn't make a difference who's created the hashtag. A participant in the Olympics may have created the hashtag, the Olympics Twitter channel themselves may have created the hashtag. But once a hashtag has been established, the community latches onto the hashtag to then follow what people are talking about within the same community of conversation. So each hashtag about a different subject is unique, yes. So during the Wimbledon, the hashtag RF287 was popular because Roger Federer would win his 7th Wimbledon and thereby go on to becoming world number 1 for 287 weeks. There can be multiple hashtags about the same topic. So hashtag Wimbledon, hashtag Roger Federer, hashtag RF287. People are talking about the same subject. The same community is talking about the same subject, but with multiple conversational touch points. So a hashtag is merely grouping that same content and allowing users to umbrella themselves within the community in order to track that common conversation.
So if somebody says opening space ceremony, it becomes another group.
Yeah. So a hashtag doesn't necessarily need to be preceded by the physical hash. Even opening ceremony by itself can become a trending topic, but that depends on what Twitter pulls into the trending topic. So conventionally speaking, for the ease of simplicity and understanding, we encourage users to initiate conversations with hashtags so that they are better defined. Like if I move on to the live Twitter feed that we saw a minute ago. So if we move back to the screen, you see Shahid Siddiqui has become a trending topic. But Shahid Siddiqui is not preceded by a hashtag. So it's not imperative that a trending topic is preceded by a hashtag, though we encourage it for simplicity and ease of tracking that conversation.
And in terms of your business, you have your brand name with the hashtag always in the conversation.
So no, that's where this comes into play. So for instance, if your business was a spa, your hashtag for running a contest, as I was getting to point number 4, can be at the end of the day. Hashtag at the end of the day. So you're telling people to tell you what they would want to do at the end of the day. If you brand your hashtags, the likelihood of people picking them up for conversational touchpoints would be very low, as opposed to putting hashtags that have the ability to be contributed by the community actively and thereby go viral. So for instance, if someone contributes to a hashtag at the end of the day and puts something funny, the chances of other people retweeting that same hashtag, retweeting that same tweet is much higher. So in that same tweet, you can have your profile tag, but the hashtag doesn't necessarily have to be a carbon copy of the profile. The profile merely mentions that this cause is supported or sponsored not only monetarily, but I mean is backed by Time Mobile. Although the hashtag can be absolutely anything under the sun, for a conversational touchpoint that you have been responsible to have created. So like in the case of the spa, we said while the spa can be potentially tagged in the tweet as Spa Mumbai, the hashtag can be at the end of the day. The hashtag can be my favorite spa product. The hashtag can be Thai massages. It can be absolutely anything under the sun that has the potential to invite the community to participate in that conversation, thereby engaging them, thereby interacting with them on a personal basis, and thereby also ensuring that your content becomes participative and goes viral at the same time. So which was what our example 4 was, where we run contests with hashtags, where you can put an incentive at the end of the channel. So for instance, we run a contest for an alcoholic beverage, say beer, Foster's, where we replace a brand movie with the name Foster's, and the 20 top winners with the maximum number of retweets in that day get free branded merchandise from the brand. Give out a free t-shirt. And merchandise in that perspective, whether it's branded, whether it's unbranded, works as fabulous incentive for participation in your Twitter contests. It increases the engagement, it increases the virality, and keeps the participation levels at an all-time high at all points of time.
Then
Yeah.
how do I, as a visitor of Twitter.com, know what are the topics people are talking about, other than the trending topics that I see on?
So there are two ways.
Repeat that question.
So the question was, if I am on the consumer side of Twitter and I am not a brand myself, how do I know what's happening on Twitter? So on one hand, we saw the trending topics on the left. On the second hand, and more importantly, you as a Twitter user have something called a timeline. The timeline essentially is a consolidation of all the tweets of the people that you follow. So you may follow celebrities, you may follow brands, you may follow news, you may follow channels, you may follow entertainment, you may follow other individuals, you may follow friends, you may follow family. So consolidation of all their tweets consists of your timeline. It's precisely like the Facebook timeline, where chronologically the tweets are then charted out for you on the basis of the people that you follow. So if you follow 500 people, only their tweets will then reflect on your wall. The possibility exists that those 500 people may follow another set of 500 people, and when they retweet their tweets, they are on your wall as well. So you might be looking at brands' tweets that you do not follow as a virtue of you following me and me following Foster's, hypothetically speaking. So Foster's tweet may appear on your timeline, and that is how you will know that Foster's is conducting a contest that you would want to participate in. Which is why you would then go back to the Foster's page, start following Foster's and participate in their conversation, in their contest. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Slightly confused. So I see the tweets of all the followers.
That's right. Of the people that you follow.
Following.
People that you follow, yeah.
People
Yeah.
that aren't following, I see the tweets.
Absolutely.
And those who are the followers, they would only see my tweet.
That's right. People who, no, they see the tweets of all the people that they're following. So no one sees only one person's tweets. I see a combination of all the people's tweets that I am following, and the people that follow me see my tweets. And a consolidation of the rest of the people who they follow as well, who they are following as well.
So the first step would be to follow the people who interest me and get them.
Absolutely, absolutely. The first step is to go and follow them. Once they see interest in you, they'll follow you back.
Is there a way to clean up what is there and start all over?
Clean up as well. You can just set up a new profile.
Who all have been following?
Just set up a new profile. Okay. So this is what we said in terms of definition of the hashtag. Okay. So we'll take you through the examples of some branded pages on Twitter as well. The Twitter page is absolutely customizable. I'll come back to you with the dimensions in the last slide once again. And because it's totally customizable, there's space for me to customize the background, put my logo, put my company line, one-liner as well. Let's look at a couple of examples. We have McDonald's. Very simplistically speaking, as you can see, you've got the background fully customized with their latest product, which is the crispy, tasty burger. This background can be changed as frequently as you wish. It can be customized with any possible design that you want. Your company logo usually gets dumped as a profile picture. The background can promote a product that's launching now, a sale that's going on. I'll come to you with the resolution of this as well. Let's look at another example. With Coca-Cola, as you see in their case, they haven't chosen the logo, but they've chosen just the bottle for their profile picture, and the background reflects the sentimentality of the people that are participating with them on Twitter as well. If you like something more simplistic, clean, elegant, HP's used its logo, and they've got their one-liner as their baseline as well. Okay. So now specific to you guys, most of you all are here to set up your branded Twitter page as well. As addressed in the query that we spoke about a few minutes ago, very often a brand gets very tempted and very carried away to talk only about their brand, only about products, only about services, only about deals, schemes and discounts that the brand is particularly offering. Very often a consumer doesn't want to keep bombarded with such information. While it is imperative for your brand to keep a consumer updated as to what is happening with the brand, with the products, with the services, users get bored if you bombard them with too much branded information. As a result, users may not follow brands, they may not engage with brands, they may not participate with brands. As brands, that is our responsibility on social media, to keep our users engaged. How do we do that first? So how do we engage users? Normally we've just drawn up a roadmap in terms of mapping out how we can engage users. Simplistically speaking, as Pradeep took you through in the first section as well, visual content always works. Provide your users with visual content, attach pictures, attach videos. Users love consuming visual content. Visual content gets consumed 60% more than base textual content. Whether you're talking about a new product in the market, whether you're talking about an environmental hazard, whether you're talking about a discount that you're running, whether you're talking about a topical update, whether you're talking about current affairs, put a picture in. That is the first step to any conversation that you build. As we spoke about a minute ago, too much of the corporate feel will deter the user, but it's still important because at the end of the day, you are running a branded Twitter page. Like we discussed a couple of slides ago, contests and promotions always help to draw repetitive engagement with users. Keep calling them back, keep inviting them to play your games, to participate in your contests. Give them incentives, give them discounts, give them t-shirts, give them caps, give them free massages. They will want to come back to you. And it makes a big difference to them. The minute they experience your product, the minute they are exposed to the level of engagement that your brand can have on a personal basis with them, they will want to interact with your brand. And when they interact with your brand virtually, the chances of them interacting with your brand in the physical space, in the brick and mortar space, is that much higher. And as we discuss over and over again, the minute you come out very sales heavy, you will lose visitors. Twitter users do not want to be bombarded specifically by sales-based approaches. Okay, so what is Twitter doing for your brand? Twitter is humanizing your brand. As Prateek enunciated for us, Twitter is making the one-to-one connect. It's establishing the personal connection between a user and the brand. So essentially speaking, it's humanizing our brand for us. A couple of examples we picked up here. The HP side, for instance, it does not emphasize on sales. It makes a deliberate effort to respond to its customers, like the example we used of Dell as well, in terms of the millions of dollars of sales that it did just through Twitter, just by responding to various queries, but not coming across as sales heavy. So when I say not coming across as sales heavy, I am not bombarding you with the information. But the minute I know you're talking about a laptop, I want to be there and I want to be the first person to make that connect and to thereby make that sale. Talking about the different kinds of Twitter campaigns, we've gone over this again. We have contests that can incentivize people to participate and engage with the brand. Keep giving them prizes, keep keeping them happy, keep making them smile so that you know that they are your engaged and loyal users on Twitter. Retweet tweets that have good and positive content. So essentially a retweet is if a user has spoken to me as a brand and has tagged me by the means of that tag here, or not even necessarily tagged me, but has spoken about content that we're discussing, the content is good, the content is relevant, retweet that content for the user. User feels important, the user's content is thereby shared with more of your followers, and automatically the user gains popularity. If the more you retweet users, the happier they are, the more they will keep engaging with your brand. It's the same logic as incentivizing them, the same logic as keeping them engaged. And of course, reply back to all questions, all queries, whether sales-based, whether customer relationship-based, whether criticism-based, to ensure that your users are copied at all points in time.
Doing search, that example you gave about laptop.
Yeah.
So is there a way to find a laptop with something like Google? You can search with parameters.
Yeah.
Laptop India, laptop Mumbai.
So you're not searching for keywords. You're searching for subjects that people are talking about. So if I'm talking about a laptop for gaming, you can search for laptop for gaming. Of course, you're searching for subjects and parameters that people are talking about. It's not, as we discussed with Facebook as well, the search results are not organically indexed as in SEO. They're conversational search patterns. So if people are talking about a particular string of words, whatever the string of words may be, you can search for it.
It has to match exactly.
Not exactly, but in the same rhythm. The string is then collated. So in the same pattern of conversation, in the same phrase of conversation.
Yeah. So when I reply, it just goes to that person who has tweeted, right?
So when you reply to someone, you need to make sure that you've tagged them as tag Mumbai as well. But though you have tagged them, it will come in their connections, but it will still be visible to everyone else that follows you. So though you may have sent a tweet to Tag Mumbai having tagged them saying, I would like to come to your event, there is a very high likelihood that they will reply to you the very next minute saying, we'd love to have you click here on this link to go to our registration form. But when you tweet to them, it will also be visible to everyone else that is following you. If you like that the message that you send them is not visible to anyone else, you can send them what is called a direct message. So the direct message will be visible to only the person you have sent it to and not to anyone else. It's a personal message essentially, called a direct message.
So in that case, I have to send @ and then.
Well, if you're sending a direct message, you need to go in. I'll show you how it's done. We can the practicalities of it. We can open up Twitter, a live feed of Twitter, and actually send a direct message. Messaging is a different feature on Twitter altogether. It's like creating an email system inside Twitter. So if I open an email, I open my inbox, and I can choose which contact I want to send the email to, and the email will only go to them. The direct message will only go to them.
And the receiving end of the direct message, how it feels like, whom you are sending.
So I open up, I'm calling it inbox for convenience. I open up my messages, I open up my inbox, and it comes as like you would see the interface of an email, but in the Twitter interface. I'll show you what that looks like.
What would be the difference between reply and retweet?
When I reply to you, I'm replying to a query that you have, but not using the same verbatim text that you have used. So if you had tweeted me saying, Suveer, what time are you speaking at the summit tomorrow? I would reply to you saying, hey, I'm speaking at 11:30. But if you say, Suveer, we spoke about Twitter and I really enjoyed this, I will retweet that, endorsing your verbatim text. So the text will still go out as you, but I have retweeted it, endorsing it. So it will go out to my followers.
That is
The
more like
text is
forwarding
still
a
yours.
mail.
It's like forwarding a mail, precisely. Forwarding a mail in a public domain. So that everyone that follows me now also knows what he has said about me, or to me.
Technically, everybody who is following would have access to that
Absolutely.
application. There is no difference that way.
Absolutely. Unless, of course, you protected your tweets. If you protected your tweets, then only people that have requested to follow you will be able to view your tweets. So that's like enabling privacy settings. But as a brand, it's not advisable that you protect your tweets. You want people to look at your tweets. The more people that look at your tweets, the more visibility you're getting. The more visibility you're getting, the more engagement you're getting. So a brand usually never protects its tweets. Answering your question about retweets. Okay, so you're in a campaign, you're in a contest, you give the user an incentive to tweet with either your handle, your hashtag, both in cases as well. And retweeting good entries encourages users to keep participating. So as we established, a retweet is very similar to a forward. You're picking up the same content, you're giving the creator of that content credit by tagging them in that same tweet, and merely just replicating that tweet verbatim. So that is known as a retweet. The retweet will then feature on the timelines of the people that are then following the brand. And the brand will also acknowledge the person who has actually generated or created that content, because they are then tagged in the tweets that they have created themselves. Are we clear on retweets or still a little fuzzy? Yeah?
Sometimes the negative comment debate is by mistake retweeted. It happens with some writer.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
So just
You have to be careful, of course. You have to be very careful as to what you put down on any social media.
Why would retweet content be moved forward?
So, friends, using the same example we established, over here. Someone tweets to me saying, went for the TI summit, really enjoyed the talk, and I retweeted his tweet. So automatically, the people that now follow me know that he was at the TI summit and he attended, a talk by me. So if other people also here that follow me know that he was there, they may start following him. That's how he has now acquired new followers. Similarly, people, as we established on stage one itself, for you're following social influencers or following celebrities in the same space, and like we start from scratch again, associating with hashtags with in order to relevant events. You understand people that exist within the same communities as you, within the same content umbrellas as you. Understand people that are consuming the same content, generating the same content. Start following them, they start following you in order to mutually create and establish such content communities. Similarly, for your brands, who do you follow? You follow people who like your brand, who tweet to you, who tweet your hashtags, who tweet your handle, who tag you in tweets, or who are tweeting positively about your brand or industry. Very simple, no rocket science here. Okay, Okay, this is where we spoke about the email aspect of direct messaging. So if I've gone to a restaurant and I've received poor service at the restaurant, ideally I should direct message the brand, informing them of my lack of service that I experienced at the restaurant. Often people don't do that, but it becomes our job as brand managers to manage the reputation of our brand on a medium like Twitter, which is so dynamic and diverse at the same time. So if a user has not direct messaged but tweeted with an issue, it is the brand's responsibility not to delete that tweet, but to respond to it and possibly even incentivize the user to come back to the restaurant, saying, hey, you know what, sorry you had a bad experience, we'd love to call you back and next time dessert is on us. So automatically, you've responded to the user, so you know the user knows that you care about his feedback, and you've called him back by giving him an incentive, telling him that we apologize for our mistake and we'd like to call you back with dessert and coffee on the house. So that the user knows that he's cared about, and the brand actually looks forward to receiving his feedback. So very often, as you must have noticed, a user themselves would pull down a tweet if the matter has been resolved. The tweet usually just disappears way down into the dumps of the timeline. As I said, users can be compensated with a gift or an offer in terms of free coffee or free dessert at the restaurant, or a free meal voucher for them when they go back the next time, so on and so forth. And it's important to maintain that the response should always be prompt so that the user feels that he is engaged and it's not an afterthought of the brand. Again, no rocket science in unfollowing people. Like following people, if people keep posting negative stuff about you, your brand, the brand image starts getting compromised, no harm in unfollowing them whatsoever. It's considered not very polite to engage in arguments with people on Twitter because it just ends up compromising your brand image. So better to stay away. If users irritate you, unfollow them, block them if you need to. Do not engage in petty conversation with them that results in arguments and unnecessarily compromises your brand image on Twitter. Okay, any questions on Twitter? Should we jump into the live exercise?
We are already getting tweets for lunch.
Oh, are we? Okay, so keep sure you guys make sure you guys keep tweeting over lunch.